Hey guys, welcome back to the shop. So next up, I'm going to get after these two jigs. I use this one quite a bit for putting splines in corners, especially on picture frames or small doors or that sort of thing. And this one is a tenoning jig that I don't use all that often, but I'm sure glad to have it when I need it. So all the jigs that I'm going to do here fit over the fence. So that's the most important thing. Is the size of your fence. I've got a free set of plans that'll be up on my website, and they kind of omit those measurements. So it's important you take your measurements from your table saw and your fence and your setup. But everything works around the base. Okay, so we're going to start with this jig since it's just easier to show you how to set up the base. As I said, it's all based off of the fence. So I've already cut my parts, but to get this measurement, I like to use a folded piece of paper and then add the two halves. And this makes sure that there's enough clearance to slide nicely, but I don't get any wiggle out of it with the paper removed. So that folded piece of paper gives me just enough room to make that slide. So all I'm going to do here is glue and pin nail this for now, and then I'll go ahead and take it off, and I'll add screws in these locations to secure all this. So next up, we're just going to reinforce these joints with screws. I'm going to countersink, pilot drill, and drive a screw. So next up, I'm going to go ahead and just glue these braces in. Although they were cut in walnut because I had a piece of scrap, they just help prevent any flex in this raised bit. So just some glue should be sufficient for this. And we'll put a little clamp on it, just to hold it till the glue dries. All right, so I pre-cut these blocks. They're cut at a 45-degree angle, and they're just going to get glued onto this face, and of course the two of them together create the 90-degree angle. So that's all I'm going to do here is just get these blocks glued on, clamped in place, and then I'm going to have to let this sit for a little while until this glue sets up. Okay, and while those blocks cure up, I can go ahead and pilot drill and mount the handle just for a little ease of pushing this on the fence. I should also note the blocks that I made from here were just 3 layers of plywood, 3/4 inch plywood. And that's how I made those. Okay, so normally you should change your blade out to be a flat grind blade, so it doesn't leave those little rabbit ears on the side. But for the purpose of a little demonstration, I'm not going to do that. Also, normally this would be a picture frame set in here. This is just a piece of flat stock that I had laying around. And I've cut my primary groove at 3/4 of an inch, since a lot of the picture frames I do are 3/4 of an inch. So all we're going to do now is go ahead and cut this, and then I'll show you how it fits together. Okay, so then we would simply install the spline, and of course glue that in, let it cure, and then cut it off when we're done. Just like that, one spline jig is complete. Okay, the tenoning jig base is built exactly the same way. So again, I pre-cut these parts because they fit my fence really well. I have my paper to go in, and we're just going to glue and pin nail this up and get some clamps on it in preparation for screws. One difference in this one is I've cut the vertical pieces, and I'm going to glue those in now so that my tops don't squeeze in. It's kind of important that these are dead vertical. Once those are in, I'll add a clamp to this side. I'll also go ahead and take this opportunity to put the top on, just because I want to verify that everything is square before the glue dries up. And this is probably going to take a little persuasion because of those clamps. Hit that with a couple of pin nails just to secure it. And I'll go ahead and verify that everything is square. And that is perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and let this cure up for a little while, leave the clamps on it. And then we'll come back in and we'll mount the strip and the toggle clamps. And just like with the other jig, I'll go ahead and mount a handle just because it's easier to push through. Okay, so next up I'm just gluing this strip on, ensuring that it stays 100% square to the table. And after this glue cures up, we'll come back and we'll add some screws for some extra support. It's important that the screws that we put in here stay above the level of any tenons that you think you're going to cut. So I'll stay up in this range somewhere, and I'll probably only add a couple. The glue is going to do the bulk of the work. This board acts as a backer board for the tenons that you're going to cut. So that's why it's important to keep the screws out of the way. You don't want to hit those with your blade, especially if you're running a saw stop. So we're just going to let that cure up, add some screws, add some clamps, and then we'll test drive it. Okay, the last thing we got to do on this is mount the clamps. Just like that. This one will go right up here somewhere. We'll get that one mounted. Okay, so I've got the jig set up on the fence here, and I went ahead and adjusted. I'm just going to do a real small tenon. This is a chunk of 3/4 material, and it's clamped in place. So all I'm going to do is run it, and then turn it around and run the other cheek. Now normally I would run dust collection here, but just so you can hear me, I'm going to leave the dust collection off for now. Okay, so all I'm going to do is raise the blade up to the height that I want. And we'll go ahead and run these pieces through. Okay, and just like that, we have a nicely shaped tenon. Okay, so there you go, guys. I hope that was helpful for you. I use these jigs a fair amount, and I just like them over the fence because it's easy to adjust the fence to take care of what I need to take care of. This jig is a zero clearance, or so I can bury my dado stack in there. And I don't use it all that often. I tend to more go to this guy, which is just a jointed piece of hardwood and a couple of clamps with some holes that draw on the top, and they just hook over the fence. So I tend to use this more often than I do this. So I don't know that I'm going to rebuild this one, but if I wanted to, again, it's that base is the same on the fence, and away you go. This one would probably be more helpful with a taller fence so that I could do maybe some raised panel doors or something. And I might need that in the future, but for now, I'm just gonna move on. So I hope you got something out of it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Leave me a comment, send me an email. My email's in the show notes. I'm always happy to answer those. And I think that's gonna wrap it up for this one. So until next time, take care, guys.